I've been testing the RingConn Gen 2 to see how well it handles workouts, daily activity, and recovery. Because let's be honest, most of us want a smart ring that does more than just track key metrics. And after wearing it through cardio, weightlifting, and everyday life, I found some things that I really liked and a few things that I didn't. So if you're wondering if the RingConn Gen 2 workout appliance could be your next fitness companion, stick around, I've got you covered. Chances are, if you're here, you've already heard of the RingConn Gen 2, or you're curious about jumping into the smart ring world. That's why I've left a link with an exclusive Healthnews discount right below in the description, and you can also grab the same deal by scanning the QR codes that you see on screen right now. If you're asking yourself what the RingConn Gen 2 Smart Ring can do when it comes to workouts, here's the short version. It covers the essentials without trying to be something that it's not. I can manually start a workout in the app, choosing from outdoor run, outdoor walk, indoor cycling, or outdoor cycling. Once the session is going, the ring tracks my workout duration, continuous heart rate, including minimum, average, and maximum, as well as calories burned and an effort level. That said, it's important to know that there is no built-in GPS, no rep counting, no modes for things like high-intensity interval training or strength training, so it's really designed more for steady-state cardio and general fitness and activity tracking rather than hardcore athletic use. The good news is it's built tough. It's IP68 rated and water resistant up to 100 meters, so sweat, rain, swimming, or showers won't phase it. And if you're worried about scratching it during heavy lifting or outdoor training, RingConn actually offers soft silicone ring protectors in different colors. You can slip them on before a workout without affecting the sensors. And during my workouts, not only did the ring stay undamaged, but it's sleek enough to not get tangled with any equipment, so my fingers are all intact as well. All right, guys, it's time for a morning cardio workout. I'm gonna hop on the elliptical machine that I have in my spare room here. Before I actually start exercising, I'm gonna go to the RingConn app. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit, and here is the exercise section. And like I mentioned, we have outdoor running, indoor and outdoor cycling, and outdoor walking. Very limited options for what exercises you can record within the app. And for an elliptical, I think I'm gonna go for indoor running instead of indoor cycling. I think that just makes more sense with, the movement that I'm kind of doing. So I'm gonna hit indoor running, and I'm gonna hit go. 3, 2, 1, it counts it down. And then here we go. I can start my exercise now. All right, so I just hopped off the elliptical about 30 seconds ago. I still have the timer going here on the RingConn app because I want to end the workout together. And what's really cool is that there's a lock and unlock button so you don't accidentally turn off mid-workout, like if the phone's in your pocket or something. So I can hit the unlock button, press and hold, and then I can pause the workout. It paused for over 30 minutes. Exercise mode will automatically end. I'm gonna hit the X, long press to end. There we go. I like that they have the long presses. Now it's going to give me a summary of my workouts. You can see my heart rate start towards the bottom at around, I won't tell me precisely, but at around 72. And as you can see, as the 20 minutes go by, I get up to about 128, 130. My average heart rate was 100 beats per minute. My maximum was 128 within this 20-minute duration. It says I went 0.63 miles. But the elliptical machine says otherwise. And at the bottom, it can tell me what sort of state of exercise I was in. Was I mostly in warm-up, fat burning, aerobic, anaerobic, or extreme? And it says I was mostly in warm-up. Now, I noticed, because I was tracking this not only with the RingConn, obviously, but also with the sensors on the elliptical, but then I'm also tracking this with one of my smart bands that I have here. And it was really interesting because at one point within the workout, about 15 minutes in, the RingConn app, as you can see on my phone, said I was at 106 beats per minute. But when I was holding the elliptical machine, it said I was at 139. And it felt much more like 139. And then I went and checked my band, the smart band that I'm currently wearing to review as well here on this channel. It said that I was at 120 to 130 beats per minute on my heart rate. It had a lot of latency, and I don't know if I necessarily trust those numbers, given that I had two other tracking sources at the same time. Did it eventually show me that I was at 128, 130? Yes, but towards the end of the workout, as you can see on this graph here. Beneficial either way? Yes, I do believe so. I don't think it's completely off. I just think it takes a couple minutes for it to go, oh, okay, this is actually his heartbeat. You know what I mean? But just wanted to show you what it looks like live, and let's get back into the set and show you more information on the RingConn for fitness. And if you're thinking of trying the RingConn Gen 2 for your own workouts or daily activity, remember that there is an exclusive discount link down in the description, or you can just scan the QR codes on screen to get that same current deal. With no subscription fees, durable, waterproof design, and all-day comfort, it's a solid pick for anyone wanting to track fitness and recovery without adding another bulky device to the mix. Even when I'm not starting formal workouts, the RingConn Gen 2 is always passively tracking my daily movement without me needing to do anything. In the app, I get a visual timeline of when I was most active, when I was sitting still, and how that stacks up across the day. There aren't any coaching tips or vibrating nudges to get up and move, but what it does really well is help me build awareness over time of my movement patterns, which for a lot of people is half the battle when it comes to staying active. So in the RingConn app at the dashboard, if I scroll down to activity, you can see a glance at my daily movement. And on this particular day, I walked 19,000 steps, burned about 2,000 calories, and had 6 hours and 9 minutes of, I don't know what, is that active time? I'm assuming it's time that I spent being active. And it says at the bottom there, energetic. Period. So let's go ahead and dive into that. And as you can see, it gives me those numbers again, and it says my activity score was 100 for the day. We can scroll down and see my steps and see at what times throughout the day I was taking these steps. I like that you can just scroll through the graph here and see at what time I was the most active. Very easy to use, very easy to read, good information there. And you can see it says 19,000 out of 6,000, which I guess the RingConn app has set as my goal. I can change that myself, I just haven't. If I scroll down, it says active calories. It says I burned about 2,000 active calories from my steps, from my activity. Same principle, I can scroll through and see when I was burning the most calories based off of my activity. If I keep scrolling down, we have all day calories, and what this refers to is the total amount of energy the body consumes in a day, primarily based on your basal metabolic rate and your active calories. And again, similar situation with the graph there. I can scroll there and see what was going on. There's going to be a tight correlation there because the more you're walking, the more calories you're burning. So they're, in my eyes, essentially the same graph. Like I don't need to look at all three of these. Now, if you scroll down a little bit past that, we have the standing section. The blue lines on the graph represent when I was standing. The grayed out parts of the graph represent when I was sleeping. And just below that, we have activity intensity, which is going to show me when throughout the day I was either, had low intensity in my activity, moderate, vigorous, or when I was inactive. Then if you scroll down, we have exercise record. I didn't record any exercise this day, so that's why it's blank. Then finally, we have an activity summary. At the moment, you gained 7,939 more steps than previous week's average. Then it gives me a nice graph showing this week compared to last week and more metrics like total activity score, activity calories, activity duration, etc., etc. On a day-to-day basis, you can really see a lot of good information. Some of it is a little bit redundant, but it is the key things that you need to know. It's the basics, and it does a good job at presenting them. And now, going even deeper, this is where the RingConn Gen 2 really surprised me. Even though it doesn't track every workout detail, it gives me continuous health insights throughout the day that I just don't get from most fitness bands or watches. It tracks my heart rate every 2.5 minutes and my blood oxygen saturation every 5 minutes, so I'm getting a constant stream of recovery and readiness data even when I'm not thinking about it. And even with data updating this frequently, RingConn's battery life lasts way longer than I expected, which I personally love. Firstly, it monitors my heart rate at rest and during activity, helping me spot trends like how fast I recover after workouts or if my resting heart rate is dropping over time, something that usually signals improving fitness. So going back to the app here, I'm going to stick on the same day, August 2nd. I'm going to scroll down to the vital signs section where I'm going to find my heart rate information. I'm going to click into this section, and if I scroll down, I have a graph that says heart rate. And I can go with a 5-minute graph or a 30-minute graph, and I'm gonna stick on 30 minutes here. So anything with those long gray blocks or lines across the whole graph vertically are when it thinks that I was exercising or doing high intensity activity. And all of the other areas of the graph are simply my resting heart rate. And I can, again, just like most graphs in here, go through the app and look at my heart rate. At the bottom here, it says my average heart rate was 91, my resting heart rate was 68, and if I want to see this graph on a larger scale, I hit the little expand button at the top there, and I can see it in landscape view and scroll through here. The RingConn Gen 2 is also the best smart ring to track my heart rate variability, which is a key marker of how well my body is recovering and handling stress. A higher HRV usually means I'm well rested and ready to train. A lower HRV can signal fatigue or even overtraining. So sticking on the same day, let's scroll down a little bit further, and here we have HRV. So basically what the app is telling me is that while I'm at work, I'm stressed, and I can see that visually because my heart rate variability went down significantly. You can tell it doesn't go up and down just like it does while I'm sleeping and awake and at home. But once I get to work, it goes down because I do work a very stressful job on my feet. And it's just interesting to see that visually. And that's actually really, really important because then I know, okay, if I keep doing this, long term, that's not that good for my body. Now, a little bit of stress for someone is okay. Good stress. There's such thing as good stress, and there's such thing as bad stress. Again, similar with the heart rate graph, those long light gray bars indicate an exercise or high intensity mode. I love this. It's so cool to see that. Then there's SpO₂ tracking. That is my blood oxygen levels. Drops in SpO₂ after intense cardio can show if my body's struggling to bounce back or if my endurance is off. So now let's look at my blood oxygen levels on what we can consider a rest day for me, and then we're gonna look at a very active day and see if there's any difference in the trends there. So I'm going back to July 29th because on this day, I did about 5,000 steps, which is significantly lower than 19,000. So we're gonna consider this a rest day. And if I go into my vital signs, scroll down, we have my SpO₂. Now, first thing I wanna mention, if you look in the orange text, it says, blood oxygen monitoring is only active during periods of rest, okay? And you can see it was monitoring my blood oxygen most of the day. Throughout the day, I had pretty good levels of blood oxygen. The average was 96. They say it's good to be above 95, so feeling good about that. Now, let's go back to the day that I've been showing you throughout this video, August 2nd, where I was really active and got those 19,000 steps. But if you can remember, if we go down to my heart rate variability, like I shared earlier, you can see how it shows that I was really sort of in a stressed state at this point of the day. We can see that it's pretty accurate and in line with my blood oxygen levels. If I click on the information icon here, it does give me some more information so that I can educate myself on this topic. But it is interesting to see that at least all of the trends between the metrics thus far are accurate and in line. RingConn Gen 2 even tracks my breathing rate, which can rise when I'm run down, getting sick, or overreaching in my training. So staying on August 2nd, if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we have my respiratory rate. Now, if I click on the little information icon, it says that a normal resting respiratory rate for most adults ranges from 12 to 20 beats per minute. If I click off, I can see that overall, I'm between 12 and 20, which is good. Important information to know, not something I'm necessarily gonna check every day, but every once in a while, I will take a look at that because it's nice to know and to make sure that my respiratory rate and my breathing is a-okay. Moreover, one of my favorite parts of this app is the stress index because it pulls together my heart rate variability, and SpO₂ to give me an overall snapshot of how much strain my body is under, which can be really helpful for deciding if it's a day to train hard or to take it easy. So let's go to July 31st so I can show you my stress index. And I'm gonna go to this day specifically because this is a day that I got less than 5 hours of sleep, but yet still put in over 13,000 steps and over 3 hours of activity time, as you can see on the dashboard right here. And right under that, it says that my stress was a medium, okay, average. It says pace yourself. It's letting me know, take it a little bit easy. Because on most days, my stress is low, but today I wanted to share with you guys on this specific day what it looks like when it thinks you're a little bit more stressed than you are. So if we click into these metrics, it's gonna tell me why it thinks I should take it easy and why I'm in a medium state of stress. If I scroll down, we can see my all-day stress index. I can go through with my thumb and look at my timestamps of when I was the most stressed, which is the red parts of the graph here. So it says 80, 85, it was really high. That was about 5:30 in the morning. Again, I did not sleep good that night, so I was stressed while I was sleeping, which is not a good thing. And it gives me an early morning, afternoon, and evening average of my stress score. It's up to me to interpret that based off what was going on in my life. If I keep scrolling down, I have a stress ratio. It gives me literally blocks of time of when I was relaxed, when my stress was normal, when it was medium, and when it was high. And as you can see, I had a little bit of all of them throughout the day, but the least one was normal. So let's scroll down a little bit further. Sleeping stress. Before sleep, it says improvable. It says basically before you go to bed, you're stressed. So that tells me maybe I need to have a better wind down period before I go to bed. Maybe low lights, maybe some reading instead of watching a war movie or something like that, right? Then at the bottom, we have a stress summary. At the moment, your stress score was 22 points higher than previous week's average. And that's why I say that's one of my favorite parts of the RingConn app is the stress index, because it takes together the heart rate, your HRV, all your metrics and information and puts it into one place where you can see, hey, are you stressed? Can you go hard? Should you take it easy? Are you relaxed? Like what's really going on with your body, and tells me, hey, improve this wasn't good, and work on that. You know what I mean? That's really good information. So after using the RingConn Gen 2 for fitness, here's what I think. If you're someone who cares about tracking your overall fitness, recovery, and daily movement without being glued to your phone or your smartwatch, the RingConn Gen 2 is definitely worth considering. And I love that it gives you 24/7 vitals without needing a subscription. That is really cool. It's waterproof, it's durable, super comfortable, and honestly, you barely notice that it's even there, even during workouts. That said, it's definitely not for hardcore athletes. You're limited to just a few basic workout types. There's no GPS or live performance data, and the Ring doesn't automatically detect workouts. You have to start them manually. Plus, during high-intensity exercise, I noticed, like you saw earlier, that the heart rate data can lag quite a bit. Like I showed you earlier, there's a very limited amount of workouts that we can sort of manually track within the app. But if you look at the bottom, there is a add a workout record. And if we go to workout type and click on that, if I scroll down, there is traditional strength training and there is high intensity interval training. And if I hit confirm, it's gonna ask me my intensity. So it's gonna ask me to manually sort of put what I think my intensity was. I could say I worked out at a 9 today. It's gonna generate energy, how much energy I expended, how much calories I burned. And then I'm gonna set a duration. Let's just say I did a 1 hour strength training type of workout. It's gonna assume that I burned roughly 550 calories, and I can hit add a record and it'll add that. But it didn't manually track my heart rate. It didn't track my movement. It didn't really track my calories at that point. It's just assuming. So for someone like me who does primarily strength training and not necessarily steady state cardio, it's really not my cup of tea. I do love the RingConn for other reasons, such as sleep, stress monitoring, heart rate variability monitoring, my SpO₂ tracking, as well as my sleep apnea tracking, which I do every few months. But again, the RingConn, like I said in the beginning, isn't trying to be something that it's not. It's cool that it has this option. If you're someone who just wants to track your key metrics in terms of your activity, like your steps, your heart rate during your steps, your activity levels, if you do steady state cardio or go out for walks, then it's good for that. Then it's perfect for you. And it's also just a beautiful looking ring. And again, no subscription. If you want to check it out, I've left the best discount link down below in the description, and there's a QR code on screen too if you'd rather scan that. And if you want to explore more, check out my full RingConn Gen 2 review, or if you're after a quick deal, watch our RingConn Gen 2 promo code video. Both are right here on the Health News channel.